So today's lesson is 2-1, which is connect ratios and percents. Now, first thing I want you to do is I want you to write down this definition right there for percent. So a percent can be written as the ratio of a number compared to 100. Okay? Now, for example, we have 34%. Now, 34%, when we're talking about a ratio compared to 100, that's going to be a part compared to a whole. Okay? So a 34%, if we look at it like this, 34%, okay, that's 34 per 100. 34 per 100. So that means 34 is the part that is we're talking about, and then 100 is the whole thing. So that's going to be 34 over 100. So the ratio 34%, the ratio for 34% is 34 over 100. And of course, we can simplify that too. So if I were taking 15 over 100, if I want to write that as a percent, well, we know that 15 per 100, this means 15 per 100. That per 100 means that's the percent. Okay, so this is 15%. Okay, now if I'm looking at the picture, here I have a circle cut into 4 pieces. Okay, and if I'm looking at 25%, 25% is going to be 1/4 of this circle colored in. Okay, so that is 1/4, that 1/4 of the circle. If I look at 25%, that's 25 per 100. Okay, so that would be 25 per 100. Now, if I simplify this by dividing by 25 in the numerator and the denominator, that's going to give me 1/4, which is just like that picture, 1/4. All right, so let's look at example 1. So example 1, we want to find a percent from a ratio. So it says, in a school, the ratio of faculty to students is 1:9. If people in the school are either students or faculty, what percent of the people are faculty? Now, the first thing we need to know is that we're comparing faculty to students, okay? So if I'm looking at faculty to students, then the ratio is going to be 1 for faculty and 9 for students. So we're going to write over here 1 for faculty and 9 for students. Now, if we're looking at all of the people, then you've got 1 faculty plus the 9 students. That's going to be a total of 10 people. So that's 1 plus 9, that equals 10. So 10 people. Now, they're asking us for the percent of the people, all the people who are faculty. So that's why we had to find out how many total people there are. So here, there's a total of all the people is 10, okay? And faculty is 1. If we wanted the percent of people who are students, then we put 9 over 10. But here, this is faculty, so we're going to put 1 over 10. So the faculty is the part, okay? Faculty is the part, and all the people is the whole, okay? Now, if we are setting up a proportion to find our percent, what we're going to do is we're going to do part to whole is equal to part to whole. So part to whole is equal to part to whole. Now, the first part to whole that we're looking at is this ratio that we came up with up here. So that's faculty to people, because the whole thing is all the people. So we're going to put that in our first ratio, 1 to 10. Okay? Now, we want to change this to a percent. Now remember, when we're talking up here, percent is part to whole, where the part is going to be the part that we're talking about, and the whole is everything, okay? So here, we want the whole is 100%. So that's going to be 100 down in the denominator, and we're going to solve for how many goes on top, okay? So there are several different ways that we can do this, okay? We can either cross-multiply or we can use equivalent ratios. So here, I think that we should use equivalent ratios, okay? We'll do that first. So to get from 10 to 100, we can multiply by 10, because 10 times 10 is 100. Now, if I multiply times 10 in the denominator, I have to also multiply by 10 in the numerator, okay? So when we do that, that gives us x is equal to 10. So x is equal to 10. Now that x in the top, that's going to be 10 over 100, right? That's what this is, 10 over 100. Now, as a percent, remember, this is 10 per 100. This says 10 per 100. So that means that this is 10%. Okay? If you can make your denominator into 100, that's always going to be per 100. That's always going to be percent. Okay? So that means that the ratio as a percent is 10 per 100, which is 10%. All right, so let's look at example 1b. Again, we're trying to find the percent from a ratio. It says, in a certain region, the ratio of female to male African elephants is nearly 3 to 1. What percent of the elephants in that region are female? Okay, so what are we comparing? We are comparing female to male. Okay, this is going to be our ratio. And the ratio, female is 3, and male is 1. Okay, so let's write our proportion. We are comparing females to male. So that's going to be female to male. Make sure you write this down. Female to male. Okay, now this right here is my first ratio that goes right there. Okay, so that female to male is going to be 3 to 1. 3 to 1. Now, we want to change this to percent. So percent means per 100, right? Oh, 1 second. All right, so let's try example 1b. Find the percent from a ratio. It says, in a certain region, the ratio of female to male African elephants is nearly 3 to 1. What percent of the elephants in the region are female? Okay, so first thing we need to know is what we're comparing. So we're comparing female to male African elephants. So female is 3 and male is 1. Okay, now we want to know what is the percent what percent of the elephants in that region are female. So that's going to be what percent of all of them, right? Of all of the elephants. So if the ratio is male to female, I'm sorry, female to male, and the ratio is 3 to 1, if I'm looking at all of them, so the total of the elephants, or all the elephants, I'll put elephants like that, then we're just going to add these two together, okay? All the males plus the females, that's going to be equal to 4, okay? Now, we want to know females to total. That's what we're looking for, okay? So we're looking for the percent of the elephants that are female out of all of the elephants in the region. So we're looking at female to total, to all of the elephants, okay? Maybe I'll just change this to say total elephants. That's 4, okay? So here, the number of females, okay, and this is what we're to total. That's what we are trying to figure out. So when we fill in our ratio, female is 3 over the total, which is 4. Now remember, this is the part and this is the whole, okay? So now we want to change that 3/4 to a percent. So we want part to whole. So we're comparing part to whole, part to whole. Now remember, in a percent, the whole thing is 100%. And we're looking up there for the part. Oops. Up here, we're looking for the part. Okay? Now, this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cross multiply. That's the other method that we can use. So let's cross multiply. So in this direction, we multiply. And in this direction, we multiply. So we've got x times 4, which is 4x, equals 3 times 100, which is 300. And now to get the x by itself, we will divide both sides by 4. Those 4's can't simplify to 1. 1 times x is x. And 300 divided by 4 is equal to 75. So here, this 75, let me highlight it, this 75 goes up there for the x, okay? Now, that's going to be 75 over 100, which is 75 per 100. 75 per 100. And of course, remember, per 100 means percent. So this is 75% of the elephants are female. All right, so for example 2a, we want to find a ratio from a percent. All right, so it says a school cafeteria provides regular meals to 56% of the students. What is the ratio of students who regularly receive a meal from the cafeteria to the students who do not receive meals? So the important information up here is that the cafeteria provides regular meals to 50% of the students. So 56% get meals. We want to know what is the ratio of students who regularly receive a meal to the students who do not receive a meal, okay? So if we know that 56% receive meals, then all we have to do is subtract 100 minus that, so 100 minus 56, and that's going to give us the percent of students who do not receive meals. So 100 minus 56, that's going to give us 44. So 44% of the students do not receive meals. Okay? So this means that out of 100 students, 56 receive meals. 56 receive meals, and that's where we get this. They receive meals, 56%. That's 56 out of 100. And 44 out of 100, or per 100, of the students do not receive meals. So now we can write our ratio. Step 2 is to write the ratio. So we're comparing students who receive meals, that's 56, and the students who do not receive meals, that's 44. So this, our ratio, is going to be 56 out of 44. Now, when we are writing our ratio, you can see this, we can simplify that, okay? So let's try dividing by 4, okay? So divide by 4 in the numerator, divide by 4 in the denominator. So we already know that 44 divided by 4, that's 11, right? And then 56 divided by 4 is 14. So this, the ratio of students who receive meals to students who do not receive meals is 14 to 11. And that's how you say that, 14 to 11. And this, a fraction with the word TO, with the word 2, and with the colons, with the 2 dots, those are the 3 different ways that you can write the ratio. I personally prefer as a fraction, okay? All right, so let's take a look at example 2a. Again, we're going to find the ratio from a percent. It says a recent study showed that 65% of college students use their campus library regularly. What is the ratio of college students who use their campus regularly to college students who do not use their campus library regularly? Okay? Now, the important information here, we know that 65% of college students use their library regularly. Okay? Now, the ratio that we're looking for, it says, what is the ratio? What is the ratio of college students who use their campus library? So I'm going to say who use their library to the college students who do not use their library. Okay? That's what we're looking for. Now, so this is the ratio we're looking for. The students who use the library to the students who do not use the library. Now, up at the top, it says that 65% use their library, right? So 65 out of 100 use their library. So 65 is going to go in the numerator. But we want to know, now we have to figure out how many do not use the library. if 100% of the students is all of the students, right? So 100% is all of the students, all students, minus the ones who do use the library, 65% use library. Okay, if we do that subtraction, so we've got 100 minus 65, that gives me 35. That tells me that 35% don't use the library. Regularly, okay? So that 35% is going to go in our denominator. So that's going to be right there, okay? So now we can go ahead and simplify 65 to 35, okay? So how about we try dividing by 5 first? So let's divide by 5 in the numerator and the denominator. So 65 divided by 5, that gives me 13. And 35 divided by 5 gives me 7. So the ratio of students who use the library to the students who do not use the library is 13 to 7. So this is the answer to our question. And again, you can write it as a fraction. You can write it with words, 13 to 7, or you can write it with the colon, 13 to 7. All right, so that is the end of the lesson. Don't forget to upload your notes